Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Cathy McGrath, and I'm one of many volunteers that help create programming for our station. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable Channel 17, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as donations made by you, the viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at nactv@wcgwave.ca. And today's edition of the Neepawa Banner and Press is from Friday, March 29th, 2024. And right here on the front page, a busy year ahead for the Beautiful Plains Museum. And pictured is the museum looking quite fresh after having its bricks fully restored as one of the projects. Representative Helen Drysdale provides an update on the projects in the work by Casper Warren. A turning of the seasons was welcomed this week with the official arrival of spring, and with spring, the Beautiful Plains region will soon welcome yet another change of seasons, museum seasons. Currently, the Beautiful Plains Museum is planning its annual reopening for the middle of May. While preparations for the opening are currently underway, there's also been action and planning behind the scenes for a variety of projects. It's going to be a very busy year for us. We're always continuing renovations. January saw lights on the main floor completed. We have the majority of all our lights redone now, said Board Chair Helen Drysdale. The obsolete light fixtures are being replaced as we couldn't replace the bulbs anymore, as you couldn't buy them. Oh my, what an impact this new lighting has had on our museum. We can see all the displays and pictures so much better now. We can see the dust better too. Drysdale added, the new lights also help reduce the potential of damage to the artifacts with the change to LED, plus helping to preserve the artifacts for future generations. We are very grateful to the Manitoba Government's Department of Sports, Culture and Heritage and Community Museums project support for the funds to replace the old light fixtures. And the firefighting exhibit is to open in June. Another project of significance is the area museum will be coming to a head right on the heels of its 2024 opening. This is the fire truck garage and display, an exhibit that has been culminating over the course of 2 years. This exhibit consists of items such as the Franklin fire wagon, the 1942 fire truck that was used by the Commonwealth Air Training Facility in Neepawa during World War II, and later by the town of Neepawa, as well as artifacts related to firefighting. We're currently planning the grand opening for June 14th. We'll be hosting a barbecue, maybe a few speeches and some entertainment, said Drysdale. Photos needed. Drysdale went on to note that more photos of benefit to this display are still currently being welcomed. The photos themselves can be retained by the donor, as a museum can create a scanned copy. As we open a new fire station, we'd love to see communities such as Eden, Burnie, Brookdale, Arden, etc., have their fire department groups represented. We'd love to get some old pictures from those areas, Drysdale enthused. We want more pictures to complete the story, because Beautiful Plains is not just Neepawa. This invitation is also open for yet another up-and-coming exhibit, which will be housed in the rail car situated on the museum's grounds. The rail car was originally a paymaster's car and is well over 100 years old. If you had a dad, uncle, or grandpa who worked for CN or even CP, if you have any lanterns or train-related items to donate or pictures, we'd love to have them. We really want pictures of Franklin, Riding Mountain, Eden, Burnie. All those little towns had a railway going through, said Drysdale. We're looking for railway station pictures or any of the men working on the railway. Stories would be nice to have as well. Drysdale added, we're very fortunate as well that 2 Westman area museums are going to be donating to our collection too. For those who may not know, in January of 2018, on a cold winter's night, the rail car was unfortunately broken into. During this incident, many items had been stolen. A multi-level security system has now been installed to enhance the safekeeping of all stored artifacts. Additional work is also planned for the rail car, as a cleaning, repainting, and installation of new doors are currently on the agenda for that particular exhibit. The new doors will be more like the original doors that were on it, so that's exciting, said Drysdale. The Beautiful Plains Museum also has longer-term projects in the works. With the completion of the building's exterior brickwork, the board is setting its sights on improving upon the grounds itself. In her final comments, Drysdale explained that the area around the museum includes some cement and tarmac that has been broken up over the years due to wear and tear and weathering. That'll be taken out at some point in time and new level material put in, said Drysdale. We'd like to have an area with picnic tables and benches so people can come there and have lunch or a coffee break, a nice quiet spot to relax and enjoy yourself. Anyone who wishes to make donations towards the rail car or fire garage exhibit are asked to contact the Beautiful Plains Museum via Helen Drysdale by calling 204-476-2723 or sending an email to beautifulplainsmuseum@gmail.com. And continuing on, it's time to vote for Manitoba's Worst Roads by the Banner staff. Dealing with potholes and road repairs is as consistent a spring tradition in Manitoba as planting flowers and decorating Easter eggs. Another tradition, this one from CAA Manitoba, is all about tracking down the worst of the worst when it comes to roads. Last week, CAA Manitoba launched its annual Worst Roads campaign, with voting now open to the public. The company's manager of government relations, Ewald Friesen, said in a media release announcing the campaign, research shows that 83% of Manitobans vent their concerns about the state of roads either to their spouses, friends, co-workers, or mechanics, while very few express their frustrations with local government officials and decision makers. As we kick off another year of the CAA Worst Roads campaign, we are calling on all Manitobans to vote for their worst roads and join the community of drivers, cyclists, transit riders, and pedestrians committed to improving our roads and keeping our elected representatives accountable. According to CAA Manitoba, the damage to a vehicle from a pothole can range from $500 to $2,000, depending upon the model of the vehicle. The Worst Roads campaign has been running since 2012. You can cast your vote in the Worst Roads campaign online at www.caaworstroads.com. And Manitoba's top 10 worst roads of 2023: 1. Provincial Road 307, 2. 18th Street in Brandon, 3. Highway 34, 4. Goulet Street, Winnipeg, 5. Lila Avenue, Winnipeg, 6. Kensington Boulevard, Winnipeg, 7. Highway 75, Morris, 8. Highway 44, 9. Saskatchewan Avenue in Winnipeg, and 10. Empress Street, Winnipeg. I think Neepawa could probably get some votes in for some of our streets lately. Neepawa preparing to deal with the increase in potholes this spring by Owen Devereaux. And pictured workers with Manitoba Transportation and Infrastructure were recently in Neepawa putting some fill into potholes located on Mountain Avenue. Because Mountain is a former provincial highway, the responsibility of repairs falls upon the province. While the generally mild than usual weather was nice to have this winter, it has created a few issues the town of Neepawa must now deal with in the spring. There have been a number of potholes reported to town administration this spring. Potholes occur during freezing thawing cycles, and Neepawa, like many other communities across the province this winter, i.e. Winnipeg and Brandon, have been more prone to them because of the extreme weather changes. In his report to Council on Tuesday, March 19th, Manager of Operations Denise Cathy said, "We do get calls about potholes. We are well aware that there are potholes out there. Staff are doing everything they can to patch any of the streets and the potholes. Unfortunately, when we have a pothole filled with water, there is very little we can do with it. Saket explained that they must basically wait for more consistency in the weather because anything they try to do now won't last. We might as well just throw gravel on it because any cold mix just will not bind or bond to that hole. Because if there is ice frozen due in the pothole or too much water, it's just not friendly to us, stated Saket. It's just an unfriendly cycle right now, but I assure you that the staff are doing everything they can to make the streets a little more passable. We're just as frustrated as the public. We have to drive around too. Some of the roads that are dealing with pothole problems are under the jurisdiction of Manitoba Transportation and Infrastructure. Saket said he has been in touch with the department on several occasions that need to be addressed. The town is currently looking to bring in a contractor to fill the potholes as quickly as possible. Excuse me. Looking back, and pictured in 1974, NACI students were touring southern England. And featured in the March 28th edition of the Neepawa Press, the front row left to right, Debbie Pajak, Laurie McGilvery, Barbara Tinkler, Vicki Cameron, Debbie Twirtleclib, Debbie Dawson, and Lloyd Cavers, the teacher and trip coordinator. Middle row was Edith Martin, the teacher, Marlene McKee, Cheryl Bridges, Joanne Huxley, Darcy Hawken, Terry Nabita, Ellen Nadeau, and Neil Turner. The back row, Donna Dagg, Tanis Benson, Linda Radford, Steve Benson, Wayne Husak, Dave Zeke, Tom Nebbs, Richard Monroe, Darcy Parrott, Craig Fedorowicz, Heather Parrott, and Ross Jones. Sold by Casper Warehan. 125 years ago, May 1899. Again, this section of the Banner Archives, Press and Banner Archives, is missing, so we will give one from May. A curious account is given by a Paris correspondent of the discovery of an egg forger, whose false productions are purchased for scientific collections by amateurs. The man was very clever. A visitor saw him make a penguin egg that could not be distinguished from the real one that served him for a model. He made the shell of plaster of Paris, burned and glazed. The egg was intended for a man who furnished eggs for a foreign scientific collection. These imitations are not difficult, for among the real eggs of most species, there are so many varieties that even the most practiced expert could not distinguish all of them. 100 years ago, 1924, Lebanon encampment are holding a series of monthly dances. The first will take place in the IOOF Hall on Friday, April 4th, 1924. Popular music, popular prices. Ladies, 50 cents. Gentlemen, 50 cents. Dancing from 9 to 12:30. The National Council of Women has taken up the fight for oleomargarine. Not that they want it for themselves, but the exclusion of oleomargarine is a measure of protection for the producers of butter. And the National Council of Women is apparently against that sort of thing, but not against protection for manufacturers, bankers, transportation companies, and others. And just to note that oleomargarine is a fatty substance derived from beef fat that at one point was used in the production of margarine. These days, most margarines are made using vegetable oil. 75 years ago, 1949, the Darktown Follies, the minstrel show with an all-feminine cast, played to a sellout house at both afternoon and evening performances last Wednesday at the Roxy Theatre, presented by the Neepawa Business and Professional Women's Club as their first public entertainment venture. The show proved very popular with theatre goers of the town and in the district. And 50 years ago, 1974, a group of NACI students, after raising their own funds, are touring South England and part of Wales, seeing many historic sites and being introduced to many important events of the past. They left Winnipeg International Airport on Thursday evening, March 21st, by 747 jetliner, after patiently waiting out about 5 hours delay. Some have already phoned home and report things going well and having the experience of a lifetime. The role of the nurse practitioner is a new innovation in rural health services. However, it is well established in northern communities where it has worked extremely well. 20 years ago, 2004, the federal government has pledged $995 million to aid the country's struggling cattle producers hit hard by a single case of mad cow disease last year. Most of us probably don't spend too much time thinking about shadows, but for one Neepawa teen, seeing a shadow was a lifesaver, literally. 17-year-old Nathan McGilvery was leaving Neat A to Z in quick cash advance around 5:30 p.m. during last Friday's windstorm, when a gust of wind blew a part of the roof off the top of the building. It didn't take McGilvery long to realize the shadow the shadow was the roof lifting off the building and coming toward him. It was kind of nerve-wracking, he admits. McGilvery said he ran to a friend's car for shelter, getting in just as the roof crumpled over the side of the building. Monty Simons wasn't the only business damaged by last Friday's windstorm. The Bayhill sign on the motel west of Neepawa blew over, along with a letter from the Westward Ford sign. Many homeowners also reported damage, with shingles and downed tree branches a common sight in the yards throughout Neepawa. No one has objected to the proposed June closure of Amaranth School. Division Board of Trustees passed a notice of motion to close the school June 30th of this year. And the Roxy Theatre, this weekend there's no movies because of Happy Easter. And April 5th and 6th, showtime 7:30, Kung Fu Panda 4, with a matinee showing time on April 7th of 2 p.m. And today, Ken Waddell has written a newspaper review, and it gives a good oversight into rural newspapers and what we suffer from. So, as of the date of this issue, I have been around for 76 years. For almost half of those years, I've been in the newspaper business full-time. For 58 of those years, I have been involved in writing and publishing, and that dates long before the desktop or laptop computer. Many people have asked me questions about the newspaper industry, people from seniors to farmers to sports figures to politicians, including premiers and prime ministers. They ask questions, lots of questions, and here's a few examples. Question: why are you able to keep on giving away your papers? Answer: because we have loyal advertisers who need the pages of the local paper to get their message out to the people who are their customers. Advertisers include businesses, both big and small, local organizations, towns and municipalities. Without ads, there is no local paper. Question: how is the best way to support our local paper? Answer: buy ads and submit news stories and pictures. Question: is there any other way? Answer: yes, there is. All newspapers used to have a subscription fee, and some still do. However, it is somewhat simpler to set out our circulation area and service that area with papers in as many places as possible for free pickup. In return, grateful readers can make a donation to their local paper. Subscription fees are around $60 per year, so if a person wants to make a donation, they can send a check to this paper at the address shown at the bottom of page 4, which is 423 Mountain Avenue, Box 699, Neepawa, Manitoba, ROJ 1HO. Why do local papers matter? Papers are usually filled with news, ads, and photos you won't see anywhere else. They shouldn't be filled up with just provincial, national, or international news that you can find on TV or the internet hours, or maybe even days before the weekly local papers hit the streets. Local papers are usually much more reliable than any other news source. Question: are there less local newspapers than there used to be? Yes, many have disappeared in the past few years. Local papers have ceased to exist in Melita, Reston, Deloraine, Souris, Brandon, Carberry, and Altona. That's only 7 examples, but about 20 papers are now gone across Manitoba. Across Canada, it's in the hundreds. Why have so many papers disappeared? That's a great question, and it will take a little longer to explain. Almost all of the closed papers used to be locally owned, and when the owners went to retire, they were bought up by large investment corporations. These corporations were run by shareholder boards and managed by CEOs who often had no local connection and could care less about our local communities. The local papers were seen as a cash cow to feed the shareholders. To do that, staff numbers were slashed. Fewer staff, less news, fewer pictures, less ads sold. The brilliant minds at corporate headquarters in some faraway city decided they should cancel building leases or sell buildings and lay off more staff. The CEOs kept squeezing more blood out of the papers until they died. In many cases, big corporations just walked away and left the few remaining staff, the buildings, and equipment blowing in the wind. Can newspaper staff work off-site? Yes, they can and sometimes do. It works as long as the jobs get done and the staff stay in close touch with their local community. Question. Ken, you are well past retirement age. What happens when you can't do this anymore? That question has been addressed in a couple of ways. We have excellent staff and they can do a lot without my presence or involvement. We have 2 sons and a grandson who stick pretty close by in case the old man can't do the work anymore. And we have put the theory to the test a few times as I have been hospitalized for a week at a time upon several occasions. Currently, I am in very good health and plan to work until the good Lord says to stop. Thank you, and may God bless you and yours. Home Buddies by Rita Friesen. Overrated? I am not alone in so many circumstances, well, actually in everything, but I'm referring to being among the sleepless masses. When a group or gaggle of sleep-deprived individuals meet, the topic often touches on insomnia. We swap tales, injecting humor and often constructive tips, and always sympathy or empathy. There were gales of laughter the day we confessed the fear that a news release had revealed insomnia can be a cause of Alzheimer's. What are the chances that 3 educated, thinking women had all read the same article? We confess the growing fear around forgetting things. Never mind the fact that our minds and hearts are filled with countless people, and we all have a myriad of commitments to family, work, and community. Some thoughts will slip through the cracks. We didn't need to now associate this trend with lack of sleep. Want to lose weight? Get more sleep. Want to feel more energized? Get more sleep. Sleep appears to be a wonderful thing. I have a Fitbit, a step counter that also records the amount of time I am asleep, how much time in light sleep, deep sleep, REM, and time awake. The graph charts when one is awake, but for how long and how often. It's not great for my heart health to check it too often. A good night has me being in deep sleep for about the same length of time I've been awake. Frequently, those numbers are around the 1 hour. It's not a whole lot of deep sleep, the type that repairs and regenerates the mind. I'm not coming at this concern as a novice. When I entered the change, I slept from about midnight till 2, and then from about 5:30 until the alarm sounded at 7. Truly, now I start the routine around 10. Already have put away the electronic devices an hour earlier, mostly. I get comfortable knowing that I have not eaten after 7, have walked 4 to 5 miles during the day, am not overly agitated or angry. All systems in accordance to the manual. I read for a while, concentrate on the evening liturgy, and with trepidation turn off the lights and lay there, wondering where the left hand should be under the cover or above. Wonder if it's accurate that sleeping on the right side leads to acid reflux. And is that why some mornings my voice is croaky? Wondering how long before I actually fall asleep. Sometimes I do a complete do-over. Around 2 of the a.m., I use the washroom, brush my teeth again, read a few pages, and talk to the shepherd. Sometimes I need to put on music, and then I worry that I won't be asleep before the music stops. White noise does help. It battles the tinnitus, allowing me to stop fixating on the high-pitched hum. It's not always quite that bad. I do use an evening tea. I have spoken to a pharmacist, and there are evenings when I rely on medication, knowing that I have a busy day ahead that requires clear thinking. Bottom line, I have learned to use the night hours for reflection and study. The only way God can get my attention. And here's a picture, old Canada. Brandon biking. And two brothers teach their sister how to ride a bicycle. The photo was taken in Brandon in 1954. There were no names available with the photo. If anyone knows who these individuals are, please contact the Neepawa Banner and Press via email at newsroom@neepawapress.com, by phone at 204-476-3401. Out of Helen's Kitchen. Easter traditions. According to the Bible, Jesus Christ's death and resurrection occurred at the time of the Jewish Passover, which was celebrated on the first full moon following the spring equinox. At the end of the second century, some congregations celebrated Easter on the day of Passover, while others celebrated it on the following Sunday. In 325 CE, the Council of NACI established that Easter would be held on the first Sunday after the first full moon, occurring on or after the spring equinox. The dates vary each year for different faiths that follow either the old Julian calendar or the new Gregorian calendar. For Christians, Easter marks the death and resurrection of Jesus and is celebrated all around the globe through special customs. In Greece, Easter, also known as Pascha, is the most significant religious celebration in the Greek Orthodox Church. Easter spiritual preparation starts with a fasting period that lasts for 40 days. That is followed by the Holy Week, where the faithful participate in engaging litanies, singing, and the Saturday service of the resurrection, where each person holds a white candle that is only used for this service. On Sunday, the traditional roast lamb meal and the storeki, a braided sweetbread adorned with red-dyed hard-boiled eggs, is enjoyed with family. In Spain, Holy Week, known as Semana Santa, is the period leading up to Easter Sunday. An important part of their celebrations are mile-long parades with large floats covered with flowers and candles and carrying religious sculptures that depict scenes from the Bible. It is a time of devotion and commemoration of the Passion of Christ. The entire family goes to Easter Mass on Easter Sunday morning. On arriving home, the Mona da Pascua, a traditional sweetbread cake, is eaten along with other traditional Easter foods. In France, during the 7th century, the church forbade the ringing of bells in reverence to the death of Christ between Thursday and Easter Sunday. The legend goes that on Maundy Thursday, the bell chimes flee to Rome, where the Pope blesses them. In the morning of Easter Sunday, the bells fly back to France, loaded with sweet treats, which they drop into gardens for the children to find. Once they are back in their steeples, they then start ringing joyfully, announcing the resurrection of Christ. French culinary traditions take center stage during Easter, and no feast is complete without the famed Osterlam, a lamb-shaped cake that symbolizes Christ as the Lamb of God. In the Philippines, the Easter week has numerous processions, passion plays, the Way of the Cross, and religious traditions make it the most spectacular week. The faithful take part in the services that commemorate the passion and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Easter Sunday wouldn't be complete with a sumptuous feast. The Easter feast often features traditional Filipino dishes, such as lacon, roasted whole pig, paella filipina, saffron-infused rice, and various delectable sweets and desserts. No matter how you celebrate Easter, enjoy the celebration and the time spent with family and friends. Wishing you Easter blessings. Assessing the need. Neepawa forms a local chapter of Habitat for Humanity. Neepawa has joined the international movement to help local families in need of safe, decent, affordable housing by forming a Neepawa chapter of Habitat for Humanity Manitoba, called Habitat Manitoba. A steering committee has been formed, and the local group is planning to build its first home commencing in the spring of 2025. Committee Chair John Lavich is pleased to help launch the Neepawa chapter, which is part of an international community. It does more than just provide a house for a low-income family. It creates a tremendous feeling to give back to your neighbor, said John Lavich. People want to be involved in it. It's very much a hands-on thing. The regional affiliate, Habitat for Humanity Manitoba, builds affordable housing in various communities across Manitoba and northwestern Ontario. We are extremely pleased by the positive responses of communities to get involved with Habitat for Humanity Manitoba, says Steve Cron, Senior VP, Program Delivery of Habitat for Humanity Manitoba. There is a need for affordable housing, not only in major centers, but also in smaller communities, and this is our way of addressing the need. The next steps for the Neepawa Chapter Steering Committee will be to find a family, find a buildable piece of land, raise funds, and build partnerships within the community. If you would like to learn more about Habitat for Humanity and how to be involved, the Neepawa Chapter will host a community information meeting on April 24th at 7 p.m. at the Neepawa Library. And Amaranth RCMP respond to a fatal collision by the Banner staff. One person is dead and several others sustained serious injuries over the weekend in a head-on auto accident near Amaranth. RCMP have reported that on Saturday, March 23rd at around 9:30 p.m., police received a report of a two-vehicle collision on Highway 50 at Road 99 North in the RM of Westlake Gladstone. When officers arrived on scene, emergency medical services were providing care to multiple patients. The investigation determined that a southbound car crossed into the northbound lane and struck an oncoming vehicle head-on. The driver of the northbound vehicle, a 35-year-old female from Sandy Bay First Nation, was pronounced dead at the scene. Her passenger, a 36-year-old male from Langruth, was seriously injured and transported to hospital. The 19-year-old male driver of the southbound car from the PAW received life-threatening injuries and was transported to Winnipeg Hospital. He remains listed in critical condition. As well, a 2-year-old male passenger was belted into a car seat in the southbound vehicle and sustained minor injuries. He was transported to local hospital and has since been released. The investigation continues at this time. And we're into sports. Titans win in double overtime. Neepawa versus Virden MJHL playoff series underway. And pictured Neepawa's Connor Thompson, number 10, lays a big hit into Virden's Evan Groening in the first period of the Titans' 3-2 overtime win on Sunday, March 24th by Owen Devereaux. The energy inside the Yellowhead Center was intense for Game 2 of the Neepawa Titans opening round series against the Virden Oil Capitals on Sunday, March 24th. The hometown team itself matched the fans' energy on that night by pulling off an amazing 3-2 win in double overtime. This was Neepawa's first postseason victory since 2017 and tied their best-of-7 series at 1-1 after the Oil Caps picked up the Game 1 win on Friday, March 22nd in Virden. Claiming the win was not easy for the Titans, however, as the Oil Capitals held a 2-1 lead for the majority of the third period. Perhaps even more concerning was the fact that Virden's blanketing neutral zone tactics had kept Neepawa from even registering a single shot on goal for just over 16 minutes of third period play. Fortunately for the Titans and their home faithful, they find the back of the net on one of the first opportunities of the third, as Neepawa's own Cooper Kasprick put away a rebound with just 3:39 left in regulation, tying things up at 2-2. For the rest of the third and the initial 10-minute overtime session, Neepawa just threw wave after wave of pressure onto Oil Caps goaltender Eric Reed and a visibly tired Virden roster. The Titans, however, could not find the game winner and would need to play a second overtime after the ice was clean, allowing Virden a chance to catch their breath. For the second overtime, Neepawa knew that they'd have to keep putting pressure on the Oil Caps if they hoped to come out victorious. That pressure would eventually pay off as Mason Hartley broke out of his own zone on a fast break and then slid a pass over to Colton Alexander, who one-timed the shot past Reed for the win. After the game, Alexander told the Banner and Press that he had put everything he had left to give into that shot. I was out there on my shift a little long and it was a bit gassed, but we had just broke out on a chance and I raced up on it. The pass came over and I just put everything I had into it, and good things happen when you work hard, right? Said Alexander. We worked hard throughout the game and we knew we needed to bounce back from the Game 1 in Virden. and ended up working out, so now we just have to keep pushing. Titans head coach and general manager Ken Pearson said he really liked the effort out there from the team at the end of the game and into the overtime. He noted everyone played relentless, and that translated into an important win. Pearson also pointed out improvements to the penalty kill from one game to the other. In Game 1, the Titans surrendered 3 goals all 3 times they were down a man. For Game 2, Neepawa didn't give up a single goal on 5 Virden power plays. Pearson noted that they still need to stay out of the box, but overall, the special teams gave the bench extra momentum when they got back to the 5-on-5 play. The other goal in Game 2 for Neepawa was from Tim Chikonik in the first period. For Game 1, Carter McLeod scored the lone goal for the Titans in their 6-1 loss. Game 3 of this best-of-7 series was played on Tuesday, March 26 in Virden, just after the Banner and Press early Easter publication deadline. Further details on the series will be in the next issue of the newspaper. And pictured down here in the lower left, Joy Barlett, number 10, tries to block the view of Mason LeBrew during the Oil Capital's power play. LeBrew and the Titans were able to hold off the challenge down a man, surrendering no goals on 5 Virden power plays. And a season still worth celebrating. NACI Tigers bested by Vincent Massey in WHSHL Championship by Owen Devereaux. And pictured atop, Ryland Bray celebrates the first goal of the game for Neepawa in the third and deciding matchup between NACI and Vincent Massey in the WHSHL Championship final. And lower, the Vincent Massey Vikings received the League Championship banner trophy after their 3-2 win over the Neepawa Tigers on Wednesday, March 20th. When it comes to sports, it's all about what you do with your opportunities. In the third and deciding game of the WHSHL final, the Vincent Massey Vikings took advantage of theirs, while the Neepawa Tigers unfortunately could not. Despite a truly dominant effort out there on the ice, the Tigers were not rewarded for those efforts, falling 3-2 in the final game of the championship series. For the final game, Neepawa would score first on an amazing one-man effort from Ryland Bray. In the first period, the 18-year-old collected the puck near his own blue line and raced it up the right side of the ice. He cruised past the 2 Vincent Massey defenders while also holding off the pressure from a third player who was right on his back the whole way down the ice. The Neepawa Titans prospect finished the play with an excellent flip shot past Vikings goaltender Casey Berry to make it 1-0. In the second, Vincent Massey were called for a few early period penalties, giving Neepawa a chance to add to their lead. NACI were unable, however, to do so, and in fact paid a price for their aggressive efforts with the extra attacker. At the end of a bench minor to the Vikings for too many men, Chase Haynes would come out of the box just as the puck got pushed out into the neutral zone and past the Tigers' defense. Haynes moved in on the unexpected breakaway and scored the equalizer. Just under 1 minute later, Neepawa had another bit of bad luck on a line change, as this time Nash Stone was behind the Tiger defenders and scored on the breakaway, making it 2-1 Vincent Massey. Before the end of the period, Neepawa replied as Tarek Lapointe was able to slide a pass over to Daniel Lissaway, who one-timed it into the back of the goal and tied things up at 2-2. Shifting into the third, both teams were pressing early, hoping to retake the lead. It would not be until just past the midway point of the period when the puck took an awkward bounce over the Neepawa stick and coasted into the Tiger zone. Vincent Massey's Carter Dittmer then outmuscled the Neepawa defender and gained control of the puck. He then sent it out front to Taryn McGregor, who backhanded it into the Neepawa net and gave the Vikings a 3-2 lead. For the rest of the period, Neepawa relentlessly pressured, searching for a tying goal. No such opportunity was to be found, however, primarily due to Vincent Massey goaltender Casey Berry, would end the game making 47 saves. Berry's play, not just in Game 3, but the entire series, was the key to Vincent Massey's victory. After replacing their starting goaltender in the first game of the best-of-3 series, Berry stopped 119 of the 127 shots he faced in the rest of the series. Those numbers resulted in an impressive .937 save percentage. And coming up is the Neepawa Ag Expo. And there's an online timed auction with the proceeds to go to the Neepawa Titans Junior A Hockey Club, and part of the auction proceeds to the Beautiful Plains Agricultural Society. The timed auction runs April 3rd to April 5th, 2024. There are a number of good donations that have been made and are up for auction, and you can find it online at www.farmgatetimedauctions.ca and search Neepawa Ag Expo. And finally, the 17th annual Farm and Leisure Lotto is well underway. The funds raised to support continued growth of Beautiful Plains Medical Clinic. And pictured a portion of the Neepawa Town office has been hopping with activity for the 17th annual Farm and Leisure Lotto lately. Pictured above and below. Lots of people at work. By Casper Warren. Phone lines were hopping and pens and pencils scratching away in Neepawa last week. The Neepawa Banner and Press stopped into the Neepawa Town office on March 21st to see the current goings-ons of the Beautiful Plains Community Medical Clinic's 17th annual Farm and Leisure Lotto. The sight to behold was that of a well-oiled machine. Farm and Leisure Lotto Chair Mary Ellen Clark was on the scene, providing comment on the fundraiser's uptake thus far. Sales are going extremely well. The community and surrounding areas are supporting us really well again this year, and we have 3 radio stations working with us, which is a major help with promoting the lottery. Clark enthused. We've had a lot of online ticket sales so far this year, too. Clark added, the funds we raise are for the continued renovation of the medical clinic as we go forward alongside the growing community, and we are looking forward to the residency program. We are also very lucky to have 8 doctors in our facility. As the community continues to grow, we need to keep expanding. Per the annual Lotto tradition, a 50-50 is included in the prizes. As of that Thursday, the 50-50 for 2024 draw was sitting at $47,090, which will continue to grow as sales continue. More significant, however, is the total funds that have been raised to the community and area support of this event throughout the course of its lifetime. Over the past 16 years, this event has fundraised a grand total of $1,881,885, said Clark. That's incredible. And that concludes the Neepawa Banner and Press for today, Friday, March 29th. I hope you have a good Easter. Thanks for listening.